Hello there, all my friends, enemies, your friends, antagonists, deuteragonists, tritagonists, and all the rest. Welcome to the Pop Culture Mike channel. My name is Mike, and I love pop culture, hence the name. Sorry I'm not, as well dressed as I typically try to be in the videos, and I look, a little bit sweaty and disheveled. I just got back from seeing The Batman in theaters. I just got back from the theater, 2 minutes ago. And the bus schedule changed for some reason, and I didn't know that, and so I had to walk back, so that's why I'm a little bit not as well kept up as normal. Also, I started watching the movie at 7, and it's now 11, and I haven't been able to eat, so I'm going to be just snacking and drinking water, not alcohol. Don't do drugs, kids, during this kind of review. So yeah, also, I don't have handwritten notes like I normally do. I'm going to be referencing notes on my phone, so sorry if I keep bringing my phone up. I'm not trying to ignore the review. I have notes. Okay, so where do I start with this movie? I will say it does feel like it's 3 hours long. You can tell that this movie is as long as it the runtime. It doesn't feel it doesn't breeze by. Someone told me that it flies by. It doesn't feel 3 hours long, but it does. It feels long, but not in a bad way. It feels very methodical and very slow burn. Everyone's comparing it to Seven and Zodiac, and that just makes sense. It's like Seven and Zodiac, in a lot of ways. Down to the Riddler giving them puzzles about who he's killed in the past and he's gonna kill next and shit. Aside from that, I really liked a lot of the characters. Batman is great. Robert Pattinson absolutely nailed it. He's an incredible actor. He really nails the human side. There's one scene that's really genuinely emotional, and he nailed it. One scene in particular, a lot of the scenes have a lot of emotion, but there's one scene in particular that's emotional, almost sad, but not really. But yeah, it's a great scene. He does a great job. I will say, he doesn't feel as much like Bruce Wayne as Christian Bale did. Christian Bale absolutely nailed the Bruce Wayne part. Robert Pattinson absolutely nails the Batman part, but he doesn't feel as much like Bruce Wayne, which makes sense for 2 reasons. Number one, he's very new to Batman and Bruce Wayne and trying to balance those two. And so he's not used to how to pretend to be Bruce Wayne. And number two, that's just not really a focus of this. There's not, I don't know, there aren't as many scenes where he actually is Bruce Wayne. He's actually out Bruce Wayning in the world. I think there's only one scene where he makes a public appearance, and then aside from that, it's just scenes of him in the Batcave with Alfred, and then this one scene where he goes to talk to some people as Bruce Wayne, but he's not trying to do the whole persona or anything. But yeah, it's definitely not a Bruce Wayne focused movie. It's very much focused on Batman, and specifically him going from just vigilante who beats the shit out of criminals to hero who saves people. And that's another great thing here. There's literally just back-to-back scenes of Batman just going out of his way to save people. And that's great, because I don't know, we've not really seen that before with Batman. You see that in Superman movies all the time, Spider-Man, every other hero goes out of the way to save innocents. Batman, typically we see him fight the bad guys, and that's him protecting the innocents. We get to see him being a goddamn superhero and just saving people in distress and in danger, and that's great, and I love it. But yeah, it's definitely, they do a great job with the Batman side of the character, for sure. I mean, the movie's called The Batman. I would be a little bit disappointed if Batman wasn't the best character in the movie, Riddler is not very comic accurate pretty much at all. He very much feels he feels like the Zodiac Killer a lot. He really feels like Zodiac Killer. Not in a bad way. I think it's great. It's a different take on the Riddler, which works really well. Especially in this movie, in this world that's set up, and he's a really good antagonist. Also, Riddler and Batman just don't get into a physical fight. It's just a mental battle, and that's great, because it would have been too easy for them to just have Batman has to beat up the Riddler for no reason. I'd be like, well, that doesn't make sense because Riddler's not a fighty guy, you know. But no, I think they did a great job with the Riddler and his character. Paul Dano plays him really well. What else? Oh yeah, Catwoman. I actually really liked. I wasn't sure I was gonna like Catwoman. I don't like a lot of versions of Catwoman. I didn't like Catwoman Hunted that just came out this year. That was a massive disappointment to me. Um, so yeah, Catwoman surprised me by being really good. Actually, I was really happy with how they did her character. Um, Alfred, in my opinion, just isn't in enough of the movie. There's not as much of a focus on him because Andy Serkis did a great job. Um, you know, it'd be too easy to say, oh, he's not as good as Michael Caine, which, like, obviously, Michael Caine was perfect for the role. But Andy Serkis does a great job with what he's given, and his connection to Bruce and like being a mentor figure. It's great. I really appreciate his role in the movie a lot. What else? Penguin. He's more comic accurate than the Riddler in like how he acts and how he is, but like he's not a mob boss yet. They set up like without getting into spoilers, like he I think is going to be a major player in the sequels. You know, because there are going to be at least two sequels plus at least two spin-off shows. You know, because of course. Um, but yeah, what other characters are there? Uh, Falcone was pretty good. I actually kind of liked him. First of all, he looks like exactly like Carmine Falcone from Long Halloween, basically. Like when he showed up before they even like said who he is, I'm like, oh, that's Carmine Falcone. I know who that is. Um, Also, there are some elements of Long Halloween, but it's not like this is the whole thing. People are saying like, oh, it's based on Long Halloween. It's not. It's one of those things where it's like people say Logan is based on Old Man Logan, and it's not. It's just Wolverine is an old man, and that's the connection. This has a murder that takes place on Halloween and a murder mystery, and that's it. That's the connection to Long Halloween. Speaking of murder mystery, Batman is a fucking detective for once. It's great. They really and the thing is, a lot of people are like, well, if you make Batman really cerebral, he's not as good of a fighter. This is the most like detective Batman and also the most action Batman we've seen since like Adam West. Okay? I'm not just saying that. I think this has some of the best Batman fight scenes, which do a good job. Like they do a good job of putting the fight scenes in places to not make the movie really feel monotonous. Like they have them sprinkled throughout, like especially when it's starting to get slow. And they don't just feel like they pop out of nowhere. Like they have a reason to include a fight scene, you know? And they do a really good job with them. And I was really happy with the action. Also, I don't know how much like visual effects are in this movie, but it doesn't feel like there are really any. It doesn't feel very effects heavy in a good way. Um, but yeah, what else? Oh yeah, there are a lot of little Easter eggs like scattered throughout that are a lot of fun. There's one that might be like a reference to a bigger Batman character, which would be kind of interesting to see if they actually follow through on that. I'm not going to say what it is. I do have two minor spoiler things that I'm going to get to like way later on. Um, but yeah, like there's not too much for me to really say. It was just a good ass movie. Like it was really well paced, well plotted, well directed. I don't think as a movie it's quite as good as Dark Knight, but I think as like a Batman movie, it's probably stronger. I don't know. This is one of those times where I'm like, do I place it above Dark Knight? Do I not? I'm just not going to even say it, but I will say what the score is at the end. But like, I don't know. It's just a solid ass movie. Okay. About now, I'm gonna get into spoilers. So yeah, skip ahead to that time code if you want to avoid spoilers. Um, and yeah, I'm just going to assume that people who don't want spoilers are gone now because we're getting into them. I have one issue with this movie, and it's a plot hole that I kind of noticed, and it kind of bothered me, which is that the Riddler's room, like where he's staying, is at the perfect angle to take the pictures that he uses in the fucking beginning of the movie. Like we find these pictures at the basically beginning of the movie, and no one thinks, hey, the angle these were taken from, let's go to the room that could have taken these pictures. And then they find it later, and then Batman looks out the window and he's like, this is where he's been the whole time. And I'm like, yeah, no shit. You could have checked here. Whatever. That's my one issue with the movie. And that's my one issue. That's a tiny gripe. Um okay, I do have another kind of issue, which is that this movie couldn't just avoid, and this is an even bigger spoiler than the last one, so really skip past this. They couldn't just avoid the fucking Joker. Like, I love the Joker. I think Batman and the Joker are like an iconic like rivalry, you know. But everyone jumps straight to the Joker for Batman. Like, Batman has such a huge rogues gallery, and we have seen like none of it comparatively on screen, you know. I don't know. The Joker was fine though. I mean, he's not. We don't really see much of him, but like he and Riddler are gonna team up. That's gonna be interesting. Joker and Riddler are always an interesting combo. But Joker and Riddler really, they really had to. Whatever, man. I don't know. It's not entirely surprising, but it's a little annoying. Okay, spoiler people are back now. Cool. So yeah, solid movie. Highly recommend. If you have 3 hours to cut out, because it does take 3 hours. I will say there's kind of a post credit stinger, but you don't really need to stay through the credits. Especially if you know about some of the marketing for this movie, then it's an advertisement for one of the pieces of marketing for the movie. Kind of. I don't know how to describe it. That's kind of what it is. You don't need to watch the post credits scene. It's not even a scene. It's just like a little thing. But yeah, that's about all I have to say about the movie. It's good. The acting is good. The writing is good. The directing is good. There's one minor plot hole, which doesn't even really take you out of the movie that much, unless you're like being really critical, like I was. I was trying to find things to not like in the movie, actually, just because of how much I was enjoying it. You know, it was just a shit ton of fun, and it was like really, for a long ass movie, it was pretty well paced actually. Like it does feel long, but it feels long intentionally. Like it doesn't just feel like, oh my god, this is boring and slow and dragging. It feels like, okay, wait, we're gonna have to wait to see what happens, and like you're trying to figure it out as you're going on through the movie with them, and it's a lot of fun. Like, yeah, I don't know. I had a great time watching it. I think if you're a fan of mystery thriller movies like Seven, like Zodiac, you'll have a lot of fun with this. If you're a fan of Batman comics, you'll have a lot of fun with this. Um, and so yeah, I give this a solid 9 out of 10. It's really really good. And again, like comparing it to The Dark Knight, I don't know. People keep doing that, and I think it's just they're two very different movies. I don't think it makes sense to compare it to The Dark Knight. But yeah, I don't know. I'd love to hear what you guys thought. Any of you who've seen it. This is gonna be going up while I'm recording this, like at 11 p.m. on Friday after just watching it. It's gonna go up sometime tomorrow on Saturday. So yeah, I highly recommend you guys watch this if you haven't seen it. If you have seen it, let me know what you think. Please try to avoid spoilers in the comments, or at least like mark it as like spoiler warning. Then like press enter a shit ton of times and then type your comment. You know, just to not spoil it for people, because there's some genuinely really cool shit in this movie that is like fun to see happen as it does. So yeah, 9 out of 10. Go watch the Batman. It's really good. Take care and see ya. Sleep well. Have a great night. Bye.
Don't know where I should go.